Okay, so welcome everybody to another presentation at iMoot16. We're now going to hear a case study from Jerônimo. I got it right in practice. Jerônimo. Oh no, stop.
The last time was right, Jerônimo.
I'm going to get this right. A case study from Jerônimo Madruga, and he's going to tell us about some of the problems of re-implementing a Moodle system at a university in Brazil. So I'll hand over to you, and you can maybe teach me how to say your name properly. Thanks, Jerônimo.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Andy got it right the third time, I think. It's normally people say Jerônimo Madruga, and I'm going to talk about an interesting case study of how to re-implement Moodle. As I was talking to him before the session officially starts, it's two cases that we got the best of one and did the session. The idea was implemented by me, Jerônimo Madruga, and a former colleague of mine, Matheus Braga. The idea is that we got the same situation, two universities where we have already an established Moodle, but it wasn't very spread its usage, or we could say that it wasn't really adapted to the situation, to all the context of the person, the teachers that were using, and the students. You might notice some of my part because I'm Brazilian and English is my second language, but I'm going to try to get it all right. Thanks, Gemma, for coming, and let's start it. So, first thing, what we are going to talk about. The idea of re-implement is that something so broken that we might have to basically start it over. We had a situation. I talk about the situation that I worked and still am working until today. That is in my university, the Federal University of Pelotas, a city in the south of Brazil, in which we already had Moodle implemented, but we didn't have much use for it, and people simply gave up on using it for some time because they thought it was complicated. There were many issues with the server, and we had some struggle. So that was really from the trenches. We had a battle to get to the point where we are now. And before we talk about Moodle itself, the implementation, it was more like we had really old Moodle. I will show a screenshot from it in some later slides. That was still 1.9 or 1.8, and it was really left out in the open, completely abandoned in the best way to say it. It was really like a desert. You could see it with everything that we think that's wrong in Moodle implementation. So we had to basically start it over again. To situate some of the things, it's important to say we are from Brazil. Most people know Brazil just because of the party and all the carnival, beach soccer, beaches, sun, everything that's related to that. But yeah, soccer. But we are also the third country in the world in Moodle usage. Just to be more specific, most of our federal universities use Moodle. I think that 9% of them, and even the private facilities are, so it's it's really the, when you say distance learning environment, or in Portuguese, EVA, normally we are talking about Moodle. It really is a fever around here, so sometimes people forget about that. And especially in my case, we are working with the Federal University of Pelotas, which had at the time about 1,200 users of Moodle. It's a really big university here in south of Brazil. In my city, there are about 5 universities. This one is the biggest, and it's a federal university, so all the resources come from the government. And although it have about a huge number of users, we still were in the dark ages of Moodle 1.9 about 3 to 4 years ago. This was the face of yeah. I loved 1.9 when it was in its age, but when you change to Moodle .1, I think it was the first implementation that we did around here. I don't remember if it was .1 or .2, but it's too much difference, in my opinion, as an administrator. The file system changes, and even the question of mobile templates, and after that mobile Moodle, it's one-way road. It was, I think that Moodle 1.1, when it was released, it was great. But if you stay with the same system without updating, without making the proper adjustments to all the evolution that had in this during this time, you get just a software that it was vulnerable, in our opinion, and still it was lagging behind most of the other universities. We had a lot of complaints that people used Moodle in other universities and came to use in UFPEL and didn't have the proper tools, or thought the design was just a little outdated. But I think that, of course, I agree with you, Andy. When it was released, it was a blessing. Was and still is one of the most advanced for its time. But we have to admit it that the 2 and now the 3 series are far ahead in a lot of aspects. So there it is, the screenshot of our system, and it was our registration was open in the wild. We had about 100 or 200 bots inserted in the system because there was no captcha, there wasn't anything. So there was many problems with this implementation. It was a good idea at the time because UFPEL didn't have any system implemented, but it wasn't really well implemented to work with. So the joy of Moodle 2 series. It came late, in my opinion. We started to work with Moodle to about 2-3 years ago. In some courses 4 years ago, but still it wasn't the best situation, in my opinion. We should have got ahead on this situation. And most people that still use Moodle and started to use the 2 series were really amazed with everything, the layout, the tools, the revamping of the system itself. Most people had some trouble in this migration from 1.9 to the 2 series. Some even thought that it wasn't Moodle at all. we had some trouble convincing people. We also ran into some trouble because some people that managed the system before had hard coded some changes that weren't. I think that wasn't the best situation to be done, so we had to manually. We tried to manually update the system, and it wasn't a really ideal situation. So in using the last resource, started all from scratch. We started from Moodle 2, and we left just Moodle 1.9 for people to import their data. But and one of the main advantages in the first place, it was more than 30% savings in storage space, as the storage engine changed completely from 1.9 from to the 2 series using the hashing system. It's just we observed that semester after semester the savings are getting even bigger. I think that now we are about 50% of storage space savings compared to the implementation with Moodle 1.9. So that's really awesome. We don't have to invest a lot more in hardware in storage to comply with the growth of the platform. But still, there was a problem. We had updated the system itself, but we are just technical support. We weren't the teacher using it in the classroom, and by the time that all these changes happened, most of our teachers were already using Facebook and email as a form of I don't really classify it as a learning environment, but as a tool that can be used to, I don't know, send files, sometimes share questions. But in my personal opinion, we don't have enough tools in Facebook. It's more like it's a social network. It's still for communication and another things that we aren't the real. We don't have an ownership of the platform. We really don't know what's going on. If we have to access a log as we have on Moodle, we can't. We don't know if the student saw the task. We don't know if the student made it. If the student send you the files through an email, the file may get corrupted. We saw that a couple of times. Sometimes the students don't like to have Facebook. We have some resistance. We can't say to them, "Oh, you are going to have Facebook. We are going to force you to have Facebook." So it was really a complicated situation. Although we still have the situation, it has been reduced drastically due to the things that the actions that we are going to talk about later in the presentation. But in my opinion, in the opinion of our work crew, Facebook is a great resource to use with Moodle. Using Moodle as a hub, we see people now that have more information using Facebook, using Twitter, using RSS integrated to Moodle, and most of the teachers that already have had training in these tools don't really rely on using Facebook for everything now. Sometimes they still use Facebook to remind students or to some contact more directly because a lot of Facebook's really popular. We can't deny that. But most of the teachers that use Moodle now get that Facebook shouldn't, although it can be used depending on its on its view. as the sole tool to use as a learning environment. To understand better our situation, our work crew as of today, we have two Moodle administrators that handle most simple cases like problems with passwords, problems using tools, emails, doubts, how to use forum. It's like firefighters. They go there and they extinguish the fire. After that, we have one Moodle developer, Rodrigo, that does our templates, does the integration of Moodle with other systems in our university, that we are going to talk about it later. And me, that I work as a Moodle administrator and as server administrator. I'm tasked a lot with providing backup, the backup strategy, some work in web optimization, performance, WPO, but all of us, because of our small crew at the moment, end up being Moodle administrators. So it's a little bit of everything. Everyone does everything. Our infrastructure, we have a proprietary cloud in our university, and that is where Moodle is hosted now. This solved at least one of our problems, which was a terrible, terrible performance from Moodle, but it wasn't a problem of Moodle itself. It was the problem of really, in my opinion, bad dimension and bad structure, the previous infrastructure of Moodle. We had basically powered desktop being used as a server. So that was really one of the worst situations that I ever saw. We had basically, I think that was 4 gigabytes of RAM, and all the system ran in this desktop computer that was powerful for a desktop, but for a server it wasn't really powerful or reliable. And we didn't have optimization in the database. We had the database running in the same machine as the web server. Really basic Moodle tuning wasn't or people really didn't have the resource to do it at the time. So one of the main actions that we had was this. We had a major overhaul in all the situation. We migrated to another infrastructure that we are deactivating right now, but it was composed of 3 servers with the web server and the database running separated servers, and another backup server that we are still using. And the main change in our mentality, because one thing is to implement Moodle as an administrator, as a technician. You don't have the same view, the same problem as a teacher. You just see, oh, Moodle now is using less space. Oh, Moodle now has more tools. Oh, Moodle is more stable, is faster. But we don't know if all this effort translates into success. So I always like to say that one of the main I can say main motivator of this change, or main idea of this change, was the Pareto principle. I think that it's said like that in English, where it says that 20% of the things, in this case, we can say 20% of the system, or 20% of your effort, will be translated in 80% of our success. So our job was to identify this 20% and focus on it. We work, of course, in many areas of Moodle, but we saw that this was a chance because of our small crew to work with this principle and try to get good results that we really did, as I'm going to show afterwards. So the main thing was we had a course that here is in Portuguese. It was a capacitation course of teachers in the Moodle platform that was ministered by me, Jerônimo, and other three of our colleagues, Joãozinho, Rafael Chix, and Rodrigo Mandinho. We already had some previous experience with short courses with teachers, like we had 2 to 4 hours to show them everything about Moodle. And we know that it's almost impossible, to not say really impossible, to work like this. So we had an opportunity, thanks to one of our teachers in our university, Jose, to work with a longer course that was about 30 or 40 hours, the first edition, to talk about Moodle with and it was a course that was part online and part in the classroom. So we really didn't just throw the material in or expected people to understand Moodle using Moodle, because we see a lot of resistance in the usage of tech tools itself. Not everyone is really deep into computers. We had some teachers that had some smaller problems, like using email. We had to really go deep down with some teachers, but most of them had good knowledge of computers, and we could focus on this case basically on Moodle. So although the course is very extensive, we did really have some anchors for it that made the most difference. First thing, the access. In the old Moodle, we had basically open registration for anyone. That was a really pain in the ass, if you excuse me to say that, but it made a lot of problem. We had like spam bots, we had Russian hackers, we had everything that you might think of trying to create a user and access some part of our system. So we cut off most of this problem, doing an integration with our internal system from the university that's named Cobalto, so that students and teachers itself could pull the informations out of the system that they were already registered with the university, so that if they were registered with the university, they could access Moodle and have a user in it. That really made our lives really simple, but there was another issue that's really easy, but most people have trouble. A lot of mainly the students, a lot of the students have trouble with the password. We don't know how, but they sometimes forget it about once a week. And so we had to really create the simplest way to people reset their password, and we even created a little tutorial and a small video, as we are going to talk about it afterwards. And that really is, in my opinion, one of the smaller problems, but it made quite a a really big positive advantage in our re-implementation. One of the main things is that we also use it now. Sometimes people really can't change it through the system, have to get in contact to us, and we started to using templates to and canned messages to contact these people with all the info that we need, so we could reset their password, and that made all of our work really easy. Most of the case we are able to solve within 24 hours, which for us is a really good response rate. And going deeper in this Pareto mentality, another thing that we really worked on was forum. It was really interesting because we had cases of teachers using the forum itself as the only tool for the whole class that he was giving in Moodle. So it was really an unusual situation. We just discovered that because there was a teacher that had trouble, that he complained that every time that we imported the content of another discipline, another class, it didn't show all the material that he used. So we started researching it and discovered that as there is only one forum in a newly created class in Moodle, he just used that forum and he posted there, he put files on it, he requested files from the students. He used it, basically for him, Moodle was a huge forum. And so we had to go really deep in this tool. Although it's one of the most basic tools of Moodle, we through Moodle statistics, we saw that most of our teachers, I might even say 99%, use forum in their classrooms. So we had to show them what forum could and should do. I think that the most important thing is the should, because we just asked them to please don't use forum for everything, and that already made quite a bit of difference. They see that Moodle itself is really bigger. It's like we love to say, it's a hub. It's connecting tools, it's connecting people, it's connecting teacher. Although we love to say to talk about the construction is about behind Moodle, we know that each teacher would work in a certain way, but we went deeper on that. So it paid the effort to really talk about this and work on it. The second thing that teachers most love about Moodle is tests, because you can just set a task and the teacher, if it's rightfully used, can automate most of his tests through Moodle. We had a lot of teachers that didn't trust Moodle, didn't know about how Moodle works in its inner self, thought that a student could send a file as another student, or that the file could be changed after it was sent. So we had to demystify a lot of these bad conceptions behind Moodle. Once we gave the proper instructions, we saw that most of our students or the teachers began to use it and felt really comfortable to send tests to the students, to receive the material from them, to grade them all inside Moodle. The other thing that we really worked on was files. With Moodle 2, it's really easy to work with files, but people were still struggling. They didn't know what file types the Moodle can work, what were the file limits. We had some trouble, although we have some exceptions. In most cases, we limit at the time it was, I think, that 10 or 20 megabytes for each file, and now we are at 100 megabytes for each file. But it's still, this limit was a problem to some teachers. So we got around, we did the Google Docs integration, we did the Dropbox integration, um, the SkyDrive. I don't know if anyone uses it. We mostly see people using the Google Drive integration, which works really, really sweet. And it was a good workaround because unfortunately we don't have much more of resource to invest in the system today, and we also don't want it to grow a lot bigger than it already is without the proper planning. And so we worked a lot on all the possible ways to work with files. Configuring the environment itself, because some teachers had the problem that they saw Moodle as a monolithic thing. They didn't saw everything that could be done with Moodle. That you could integrate video, that you could use one column, two columns, that depending on the way you build your class in Moodle, it's easier to use on mobile or not. So we also talk about a lot about this visual part of Moodle, and it's really interesting that this part also touches a little bit of web performance optimization, the WPO, as we talked about earlier, because in some tests that we ran, we had some cases in the later environment that we had, I think it was 2 or 3 minutes loading time for the main page of an course, a class, a course or a class. And that was really terrible. But we started looking, and although the server really was not dimensioned for the load that it had at that time, we saw that a lot of teachers had trouble because they used a lot of 30 part images, 30 part videos. So they embedded a lot of content that were from other sites besides Moodle, and you had loading times that were skyrocketing, really, because people didn't know that depending on what you are embedding, you are going to make your class really, really slow to load. So we had to talk about it to teach people to be minimalistic, to know when to embed a video or when to simply use a link to a video. It made quite a good difference now, because we don't have now most of the complaints about Moodle speed. I think that there's about a year or so that we don't have any specific complaints about that. And one of the things that we did after, we could say, the course, or after the work hours of the course, was the translation effort. Because when we did this migration from 1.9 to 2.2, at the time 2.1, there were some terms, some expressions that weren't translated yet. For us that most of us from the technical area were really used to English, although we don't speak it quite a lot, but we know the way to talk, to read it. But for our students, that some of them don't have quite a base on English, it was really strange to have just one or two expressions in the middle of a tool or in the middle of the template itself. It had like my courses, and they didn't uh, related to the translation in Portuguese, that would be meus cursos. So myself at that time worked in translating about 200 expressions, and it was really easy. The All the community from Brazil was really helpful. The people from UFSC, really, it was like, I don't know, I took 1 hour to read everything, to see all the videos about how to translate it, and I started working on that day. And just a couple of times I had some troubles with translating terms that were already defined by the people translating to another similar words. But after that, it was really easy to work on that, and it was really fast to solve the problems of our students that and our teachers that had trouble with the language. We also made the effort to seek out all the different languages that were being taught in our university, so they were also installed in Moodle, so that the teacher itself could do an immersion of his students when using Moodle. Like, just saying an example, if there's a English class, the teacher now can select the English language for it for his class, and the student will feel more immersed in the content of the class. We also saw that sometimes, although we worked a lot with making facts and frequent asked questions for Moodle, a lot of tests of how to Moodle itself, and we even had at a time we had manual of our university on how to use Moodle, but we saw that it wasn't really effective. So we started seeing what was the most effective way, and we did a little, you can say, a little video series that translating it would be Moodle, simple, fast, and practical. We had the idea that most videos would be under 2 to 5 minutes, at best 1 to 2 to 3 minutes. And the idea was to produce Moodle videos without any speech itself, without anyone talking, because we also had a lot of deaf teachers and students. We had this situation of the accessibility. It isn't a problem. It's really, in my opinion, we shouldn't talk about an accessibility problem, but accessibility situation, because everyone deserves to use the system without being penalized for this kind of situation. So, as our researcher went to the side of doing little practical videos, we had a really nice support from the teachers. They really liked it. They said what they wanted, and we just can't do more videos right now. I think that we stopped at 11 videos because we don't have much more crew, but we are going to try to take that effort a new start at the end of the semester. And also, this was another effort from our crew. We started translating the subtitles from the official Moodle videos channel in the YouTube. I really would like to thank Mary Kuch and everyone that worked on that part. We don't have a lot of videos translated at this moment because we are still working on a decent workflow to translate videos. Basically, at this time, we are downloading the closed caption and translating it by hand. We did some tests with automated translation and just correcting the little mistakes that Google still makes, but we aren't sure yet of what will be the best way to deal with this at this moment. Um, we had lovely feedback, not just from our university, but from other university from Brazil and some users from outside of Brazil too. Although we still didn't have the time to work on that workflow, I would really like to this idea become a part of Moodle official videos, so that we could have not only for Portuguese, but let's say Italian, Dutch, Spanish, any other language that we have people interested in translating the closed captions would be really nice, because we see that lots of times people really have more confidence in working with the video instructions or similar, because it's more popular nowadays. You can't really get around it. You can't go and do and write a 300-page book and think that it will have the impact of 10 videos, 10 short videos about Moodle. If you do the right things, I think that the impact of using video as a tool of education is really being revolutionary, as we can see in other ideas like Khan Academy and so on. And this goes beyond the Pareto principle. I think that although the course itself, we worked on most of the tools from Moodle, but basically that were the main tools that we worked on. We also used it from Joyce, that already spoke in this iMoot this year. The Moodle tool guide, we have an edition that was updated and translated to Portuguese when we are working on adding more tools and correcting some mistakes that people made in this translation, and one more time giving it back to the community. So most of our effort, we see now that we can't really see, and that's a mistake that I think that unfortunately most of Moodle workers in Brazil do. We can't really see Moodle and the solution itself as a separated issue just for our work crew or university or group. We have to try to get to universal solutions. What solves my problem will solve your problem too. And all this work ended up with 90% of our course participants are now effectively using Moodle. For us is really a great number. We are going to next next week we are going to start a new edition of this course, and it's really interesting that our approval rate also 90% of the or more of the students really enjoyed the course and thought that it made a difference. And now we see Moodle itself being used not as a repository, not just as a solo forum, but as a tool for education, a complete tool, a hub, a connection center, a place where the student can talk to the student, can talk to the teacher, and that's for us was really exciting, and it still is being really exciting because we really have a long road ahead. I think that most of our solutions are still at the level of our university. We are trying to get this course not only in Portuguese but in English too, so other people could enjoy it. And we also want to make some effort to see if we can work on more things related to Moodle itself in UFPEL. So we really have a long road to go. I think that this was the first step to a successful implementation of Moodle. But I don't want to stop at 9% of the teachers that go to our course and learn to use Moodle as we are successful, we are going to stop this effort now. Thank you very much. I think that our main goal will be at least 9% of the students and teachers actively using Moodle. If we get to 10,000 users that really not only download files or go there because the teachers force them to go, but use Moodle and think that, hey, this is making a difference. This is going to make my study for the students. This is going to make my study experience better. For the teacher, the teaching experience, and for us, we can handle an organized Moodle implementation where everyone knows, or at least have the basic knowledge of Moodle and its tools. So finally, I don't know if Andy can tell me. I think that we may have time for questions. If there is any questions, I'm
there's
going
no
to.
problem, Jerônimo. You can, if Gemma's got a question, that would be great.
Okay. I'm going to upload the links to the material that we already implemented in about 1 or 2 hours. So if anyone is interested, afterwards in the space is going to be more of our experience and our contributions. Oh, thanks, Gemma. Yeah, I think that re-implementing is harder than implementing itself, because we saw that it wasn't just, unfortunately, Mateus couldn't be live in the session at this moment because he's traveling. He's at another state from our country now. But just to say, we had a lot of Moodlers that had the same problem. The problem of implementing Moodle is one, but when you already had a bad experience, re-implementing is challenging, but maybe a different challenge, because we already have all these bad conceptions behind Moodle, all these prejudice of using it in the classroom, because we see in our case we had a tool that was really a desert. We didn't really have an effective support, and now we have a effective support and a road ahead to go all the way. So if you want to share any of your difficulties with Moodle 2, Gemma, all thanks Carrie for liking the presentation. I think that it's still a little bit rough. My English isn't really sharp at the moment, but if you guys understood, I'm happy. Oh, thanks.
Okay, so thanks very much indeed for that, Jerônimo. I'm going to stop the recording now, but if people want to carry on chatting here, they're more than welcome. I have to move on to the next session now and host that, so I'm sure I'll catch you around on the forums.
Thanks, Andy, and I'll see you around. Thank everyone for coming, and I will be in the forum and here in the chat, so be my guest.